the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Good evening and welcome back once again, race fans. Here's Sunday night action for you. The RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company Menards K&N Series hits the high banks of Talladega Super Speedway. 75 laps around the track tonight for the Mission 2275. It's, as always, Darkside Dave in the cave here with my good buddy Cody in the booth with me. Cody, how you doing? How you feeling?
Dave, I'm doing just fine. I'm excited. We get to go to our first plate track of the 2020 season and the first of back-to-back, Dave. This is kind of the super speedway stretch of the season and the official halfway point today. 10 races marking today and still 10 races to go. And, Dave, this is the biggest and baddest of them all. And we've already been kind of walking through the garage, and there's already some buzz about these race cars and the way this race may be handled tonight as far as the draft.
Yeah, that's right. I had the opportunity to get out there in the Turn 3 cutaway car in the early practice with some of the drivers, and the conversation I was having with them may be the same conversation that you were having with them, and that's the bump drafting, something that we're used to seeing, we're used to doing inside the cars here at these plate tracks. Not something you really want to do in these Light Electric Company Menards K&N Series cars. That rear bumper and the front bumper just don't quite line up, and it's pretty, well, it's just downright hairy trying to bump draft here.
Yeah, it is, Dave, and that's what the big complaint is because the rear end of these race cars are so high off the ground, and then, of course, the nose of these race cars, as most asphalt cars these days, is as low as it goes. And when you try to put those two together, well, it's just not a really good pairing. And at a place like this, Dave, where the draft is so important, these drivers are going to have to be more spot on tonight than maybe anywhere we've been so far this year, especially from what we've seen in practice.
Yeah, and I mean, they're going to have to be spot on with a few things. They're going to have to be spot on with their throttle control here. Some drivers tend to like to drag the brake. I'm a pure throttle guy here at the plate tracks. I don't really like leaning on that brake at all. But they're going to have to be in and out of the throttle and manage that gap because, as we already talked about, that bumping that we're so used to doing here, not something that these drivers are being able to pull off without having some big issues on their hands. So the gap management is going to be something that these guys are going to have to look at a lot more throughout this race than what maybe they're used to having to do.
Yeah, and this track itself opened in September of 1969. That's 50 years ago. And since then, drivers have been just, fighting this track. And it's not necessarily the track itself. It's the way the racing goes here. And Dave, 3 words that strike fear into almost any driver that suits up and races here: the big one. And it happens, just with the slightest mistake, Dave. We're going to see these drivers going, close to 200 miles an hour tonight. Any little wiggle, any little wrong move, and boom, you found yourself in a mess. It is really what a lot of people say, a chess match at 200 miles per hour, and you're getting ready to see it here tonight.
Yeah, and it's kind of like just flying a rocket, man, because at any given moment it could just all go boom. That's the best analogy I really have for it, because I mean, when it happens here at Talladega, it usually happens in the blink of an eye, and you usually got nowhere to go, and you're destroyed. And I don't know. That's just kind of the one I've always leaned to.
Yeah, most definitely. And what has been an exciting season so far. 10 races in, only one driver has visited victory lane twice. That's Chris Mefford. And other than that, Dave, that's the only repeat winner of the 2020 season. We've seen a different driver every week, and right now we're currently on a 3-race streak where we've seen new drivers go to victory lane. Brian Maskell Jr. at Homestead, Brian Snare credited with a win at Rockingham, and then Troy Radford last week got the monkey off his back with his 6th career win at Dover. And then we come into Talladega, and Dave, you know just as well as I do, this is another one of those wild card races.
Yeah, this is a wild card race. Then they're gonna I guess re-rack them, reload them if you want, and ship them down to Daytona and get ready to do it all over again. So back-to-back plate race weekends going to probably shake up the championship standings just a little bit. And I tell you what, they look just a little bit something like this coming into tonight's race. Katie Osmond, there you see him leading the point standings. And I believe he is on a 7-race streak of a top 5 finish. So Osmond very, very consistent here this year so far. Lance Yancey, there you see him sitting in second. Roy Hyde, the 00, sitting in third. Tyler Hilton, Steve Baker round out the top 5. There you see Brian Snare in 7th. Troy Radford moving up through the points with that win last week. So Radford finally getting his season heading in the right direction.
Yeah, and Dave, it was just a matter of time before we saw that. And when you take a look at what Katie Osmond's done in the first 7 races he's been on track this year, we missed him in the first 2 races, but since then, you mentioned that streak. 7 starts, 7 top 5s. He's led 192 laps in the 7 races he's raced in. He leads all laps led so far this year.
Speaking of laps led, Cody, last week I know we had our eye on Troy Radford. He was closing in on a very big mark here, a historic mark, 1,000 laps led here in the RFC NEXTGEN Series. What is he looking like coming into today's race?
Well, Dave, after a great performance at Dover, we were marking those laps off as the race went on, thinking, he's on a tear. He might make it this week. He ended up 78 laps short. He is 78 laps shy of leading 1,000 laps in the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Menard Series. Dave, that is historic because you have to go to Katie Osmond, who's next in line, and he's about 200 laps away from that mark. So Troy has been impressive, to say the least, and only this being his 29th start today. He's set on the pole 8 times. He's got 6 career wins after last week, but to be able to lead 1,000 laps in 28, 29 races, possibly, Dave, that's saying something.
Yeah, that isn't speak of the devil, and you talk him up right there, man, on screen. Troy Radford, the 49. He's the only driver actually that has rolled off pit road. I take that back. The 93 of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. now rolling off the track as well. But only 2 drivers out there so far here in qualifying. I don't think we're going to see very many drivers at all lay down a qualifying lap here tonight.
No, and we've become accustomed to that. That's something that we have seen. That's something that we have watched throughout the year unfold. But, this is one of those kind of places to where if you're in the right place and you're there at the right time, things can work out. But it's also one of those places to where anything could happen anywhere. The front row could wreck going into turn 1, and then we're down to 5 cars. It's simply could be like that.
Yeah, and it looks like the track's starting to get a little bit busier out there. The 82 of Tyler Hilton, he's beginning to roll off of pit road. Mark Vyers in his 3 machine also beginning to roll off of pit road. We do have a few drivers in the car, just not actually heading out just yet. Chuck Mobley in the 76, he heads out on track for his up-to-speed lap as well. So just a few takers so far, about maybe 5, just a handful of drivers out there. And, Cody, here as well as next week, I don't believe qualifying is nearly as important unless you're trying to get those points, those coveted points for the pole position, unless they mean that absolute much to you. I don't really think you're going to worry about qualifying too much here or at Daytona next week because, I mean, it's plate racing. It's drafting. You can go from 20th to 1st in a lap or two. So, I mean, the draft is the big equalizer.
Yeah, it is. But one thing I am noticing, and you mentioned Tyler Hilton there a minute ago. I spoke with Tyler and I walked through the garage before we got started tonight. All of the Falcon Motorsports drivers are sporting some brand new paint schemes going into this race tonight. As Tyler Hilton's out there, the Coast and Peak number 82 Ford Mustang. All that Falcon Motorsports group has some new skins that we're seeing out there on the racetrack tonight. If not a total new paint job, they've got some new sponsors on the car. And Dave, here could be a little bit of a strategy. All these Falcon Motorsports cars get out there and qualify, then they're going to be at the front of the field together. So that could be a little bit of a strategy with some of these drivers not taking quick times.
Yeah, and I mean, you can kind of work that out with your team to keep an eye on the scoring charts and notice the teams around you, what they're doing, and then possibly jump out there, everybody get a lap in real quick. And go ahead and start with each other. The team strategy is going to be a lot easier to manage and maintain, being grouped together from the start. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Cody, teammate or not, you're coming to the checkered flag. I don't care who you are. You're my mama. I'll put you in the wall. I'm getting that checkered flag. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Oh, most definitely, Dave. I still think if we've got 5 cars that are racing at the end of this race still on 4 wheels, they'll be 5 wide coming to the finish line trying to pick up a win, because you've pointed it out multiple times this season. There is no playoff. There is no chase here in the Light Electric Company ARCA Menard Series. It is simply the old-fashioned point standings. And, the more points you gain, the better you're going to be going down the road. So a win is a win. You can max out points that way. So I agree with you. If there's 5 cars left on the racetrack, they'll be 5 wide coming to the victory lane.
Yeah, and first and foremost, I want to say hashtag I love you, Mom. It was all a joke. I wouldn't wreck you. You would never be that fast. But anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. This is one of them races that, yeah, it's a loaded gun, man. Like just waiting to go off, a powder keg. There you go. That's a better analogy, I would guess. Because, I mean, any given time, the way these drivers are going to be running tonight, Cody, if something happens, it's going to take out 3 to 10 in the blink of an eye. So you never quite know what's going to go down, and maybe some of these drivers a little bit timid out there tonight. Only 6 drivers putting in a timed lap for qualifying, so some of the drivers just content to kind of, I don't know, just take it easy on into the night.
Yeah, and here's the thing with that: one mistake can end your night early. If we only see 6 drivers go out to qualify, then that tells me you're going to see some really fast cars in the middle of the field. You're going to see some fast cars in the back of the field. So there could be some strategy there. It is a 75-lap race. That's quite a bit around this big 2.5-mile racetrack at Talladega. But here's another thing, and this is something we point out week in and week out, the pit road. These guys are going to be pushing nearly 200 miles an hour. Some of them maybe anywhere from 190 to 200. They have got to woe them things down to 55 mile an hour. And when you can't really get that car slowed down until you get almost right up on the pit road. So that's another thing I want to point out tonight. The pit road looks kind of easy to get to here at Talladega, but at 200 mile an hour, Dave, it's hard to slam on the brakes and get down to 55.
Especially with this tire compound, Cody. The brakes don't work as good as they do in those Cup cars or even in the Xfinity cars. Maybe somewhere along the lines of a super late model, the braking is somewhere right about the same, very similar brakes. So, yeah, these drivers are going to have their hands full coming to pit road, all grouped up when they do. And looks like with about 7.5 minutes in the books here in qualifying, looks like we've had all the drivers going to go out that are going to. Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. going to take the pole position right now. 93 sitting on top of the speed charts with a 53.22. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break, head down trackside for your national anthem. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with all your green flag action here on Turn 3 Racing Network.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly wailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rackets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Ooh-wee. Cody, man, I don't know about you. The planes flying over gets me every time. Love the jets, man. Oh my God, just gets me ready to go, man. It's great.
It is, man, and I'm telling you what, a sold-out crowd here at Talladega Super Speedway, getting ready to roll for 75 laps. We want to thank everyone watching at home on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Make sure you like and share the Turn 3 Racing Network. And I'm telling you what, feel free to send a chat over there. Dave's got the chat pulled up. You want to share any information, you want to mention something. As we like to say, buckle up, because we are getting ready to see this series go to work in what has been what is the first super speedway race of what has been an exciting season so far.
First super speedway race of the season, and your starting grid looks a little something like this. Starting inside row number 1, first career pole for Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. That 93 gonna line up inside row number 1, just as outside the 98 of Thomas Light. Row number 2, the 82 of Tyler Hilton, and 76 of Chuck Mobley. Row number 3, the 34 of Doug Wasaki, and the 83 of Brandon Medford. Row number 4 here tonight, the 80 of Brian Littleton, and the 49 of Troy Radford. Row number 5, the 33 of Brian Mescal Jr., and rounding out your top 10, the 8 of Kendall Levron.
Rolling off in row number 6, it'll be the 19 of Rick Reiner, and a guy that's on a hot streak. 7 starts, 7 top 5s, the 88 of Katie Osmond. Row number 7, it'll be the Iron Man, Damon Cox, making his 56th start in the 57 car. Derek Robinson in the 14th spot. Rolling off 15th, it'll be Dustin Ping in the number 1, Gordon Larson Jr. in the 01 in 16th. Two-time winner this year on the series, Chris Mefford in the 84 and 17th. Justin Walters rolls off in his 46th in the 18th spot. 19th will go to the number 6, flying the Mark Martin colors tonight. It's Eric Blunt, and rounding out the top 20, the number 22 of Cody Terry.
Starting in the 21st position here tonight, the 45 of Brian Snare, followed by the 77 of Lance Yancey. Jason Edmondson gonna line up 23rd. 24th will go to the 48 of Jimmy Hetrick. 25th will be Travis Arthur. Brian Kaufman in the 7 gonna line up in the 26th spot. 27th will be the 10 of Melvin Young. Michael Massengill gonna slide in the 28th spot. 29th will go to Ray Radford. And rounding out the field here tonight, the 3 of Mark Vyers.
Dave, I don't know about you, but here we go. We are getting ready. 75 laps, pace trucks off, and to the head point at Turn 3 Racing Network, Dave Worrells with the call.
Pace car down and away. The 93 of Quattlebaum Jr. bringing the field to the green flag for the first time here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway in the RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company ARCA Menards K&N Series. Long way around to this restart box. Waiting for it on the gas. Green flag here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. Outside lane gets a good jump. No help for that 98 of Thomas Light on the outside. Cars dropping down to the bottom already as that inside line starts to form a little bit sooner, a little bit faster than that high lane. Looks like a big mix-up there on the start. Has a few of these drivers a little bit behind already, Cody.
Yeah, indeed, but I tell you what, Falcon Motorsports wasn't behind. They got on that bottom line right exactly where they wanted to be, and they have control going into Turn 3. On the outside, Thomas Light, Chuck Mobley, they round out the top 5 as they roar through turns 3 and 4 here at Talladega.
Still green flag racing here on lap 1. No incidents. We break the curse of the Turn 1 incident so far this season here in the RFC Next Gen ARCA Menards K&N Series. So these drivers got further than they have all year long. Round of applause. Quick round of applause for that. Okay, nice. Good. Done. All right. Back at the front of the field, Thomas Light trying to get that 98 out there in front of the 93 of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. Still hugging that double yellow line down there on the inside. Chuck Mobley right there pushing Thomas Light, trying to get him around. The 93 not going to do it just yet. Hilton still hooked to the rear bumper of Quattlebaum Jr. as that outside lane just not able to get there.
No, it's not, Dave, and that's hammered down. Motorsports trying to work their way on the outside. Thomas Light, Chuck Mobley, they've got some help coming. Katie Osmond, never mind. Katie Osmond's going to go to the bottom. He's going to latch on to the bottom 4 as they wrap up lap number 3 now.
Yeah, and as I'm looking down through the scoring chart and out there on the track, it looks like we're beginning to see some patient drivers form a very long train of cars back here behind. This is about your top 12 cars or so that are still running double file. Most of the field after that, all single file. We do have about 3 or 4 cars back through the tail end of the field still running double file, but the majority of these guys, Cody, know it's 75 laps. We're going to have green flag pit stops unless we have a big one, because any wreck here at Talladega usually is a big one. So some of these drivers may be showing a little bit more patience, knowing it's a long, long race with no fast repair.
Yeah, most indeed, David. I tell you what, that outside line starting to form up. Katie Osmonds went back to the high side. Now it looks like that outside line, Thomas Light, Chuck Mobley, Derek Robinson, Gordon Larson Jr., also Brian Kaufman have tucked in, and it looks like they have enough cars on the outside, Dave, as they go down the big back straightaway to maybe make a run at these first 4.
Yeah, and I think, Cody, what you're seeing there is, look at the numbers. About 2 laps ago, we seen the numbers being down there on that bottom lane, and then slowly but surely, car after car started joining that high lane, and now we see that high lane just kind of disappear completely, and now you see that inside lane moving forward but I think just more cars jumped on the outside, and that gave the line a little bit more energy and momentum, and that pushed them to the front for the time being. Then it kind of all fell apart.
Yeah, it has kind of fell apart. That outside lane, pretty much those drivers, Thomas Light and Chuck Mobley, have come to the bottom. But, Dave, check out the outside. Jimmy Hetrick, he's moved to the front. He's got Brian Kaufman behind him and Eric Blunt. They're going to make a run, and Jimmy Hetrick may have the steam going down the back straightaway into turn 3.
And I think he actually will. Clear right now is that 48. He's going to go ahead and drop down, leave that 7 of Brian Kaufman leading that outside lane. And just moments ago, Cody, I said, excuse me, I said there was a few drivers back in the pack still running too wide. Well, Hetrick was leading that group of cars on that outside lane, so just sticking with it prevailed. Now Brian Kaufman in the 7 looks like he's going to clear. Hetrick drop to the bottom. Eric Blount's going to take over the lead of that outside lane. He's got help with the 38 of Derek Robinson as well as the 01 of Gordon Larson Jr.
Yeah, and it looks like some of the Falcon Motorsports guys are moving to the top as well. They might have seen something as that top line, Dave, once it got formed up, it was almost untouchable. And now everybody's going to the top of the racetrack. And here comes Eric Blunt. He has command. Derek Robinson second. And now hanging on to that third spot is Brian Kaufman out of turn 3 as that bottom line all but fades away.
And Hetrick with a bit of a moment there trying to go up the track and get in that top lane. Almost put the car where there wasn't enough room. A little bit of a squeeze play. Everybody gets that all underway. 3 wide for the moment. Tyler Hilton in the 82 sitting in the middle. Now dropping to the bottom. Threading the needle. Man, what a run out of that 82 machine up to the second spot now. And I think, Cody, maybe that high lane working so well may be a product of these drivers not being able to really bump draft as much as they're used to. So that inside lane having to check up a lot more than what some of these drivers are used to. So that outside lane just seems like it's getting a much bigger run.
Yeah, Dave, indeed, most definitely. And I will say this. Somebody did say this race was 75 laps, right?
Well, I mean, for some people, it's going to be 75. For some.
Well, I'm telling you what, right now they're putting on a show. They are slicing and dicing. Oh, a big moment there for Kaufman. He almost gets into the side door of Jimmy Hetrick. Another big mover in the group, Melvin Young. He is up 16th spot. Now make it up to 12th for Melvin Young. So he's moved from the back to the front rather quickly. And Dave, for the folks watching at home, this is just a kind of a program with this kind of racing. You can go to the back, go to the front if you have the right person around you.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen, as you just said, that 10 of Melvin Young up 16 positions, knocking on the door of a top 10 right now, and we're only 8 laps into it. This is just kind of what happens. It's kind of what goes on at these plate races, at these plate tracks. Driver's going to go to the front, driver's going to go to the rear. They're going to do it 2 or 3 different times. They're going to hope they're there when they need to be. And some are going to find themselves in a bad place when they don't want to be.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of a strategy play out. Dirty Air Racing came into this event leading the team standings. They've been swapping with Falcon Motorsports all year. And Brian Mescal Jr., Brian Littleton, Damon Cox, Cody Terry, they've all fell back. Mescal Jr. and Littleton, that's 20th and 21st. Dave, I feel like they're maybe setting each other up to try and make a run or at least get this first pit stop in.
Yeah, and I mean, we got to keep the team aspect a part of the broadcast and a part of the conversation because it is a very heated battle, very close battle between Dirty Air Racing and Falcon Motorsports. Only 4 points separate those two teams. So a very close points battle coming into today's race. And just like the individual point standings coming into a plate race, your team standings can get shaken up just as easily. And, well, these drivers and teams have to put their money where their mouth is, not just tonight, but they're going to have to re-rack them, reload them, and head down to Daytona and do it all over again next week, Cody. So, I mean, you really want to come out tonight and have the best finish that you possibly can just so you can kind of hold your chest a little bit more poked out when you head to Daytona.
Yeah, and, you know, to be able to win this race and possibly win next week, that is huge momentum, especially halfway in the season, because after that, it's short track madness, as I like to call it. North Wilkesboro, followed by Martinsville. So this is the kind of race, this and the next race at Daytona, these are the kind of races to where somebody can sneak a win in there. And right now, that inside line showing the way, but the outside has two drivers looking for their first win of the season in Jimmy Hetrick and Eric Blunt. They've been right there door to door with Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. through most of this first run.
Yeah, your top 13 drivers right now, Cody, all within about 1 second of each other. Make it your top 14. Katie Osmond right there hanging on to that lead pack. Got a few stragglers right there, kind of mid-pack. Chris Medford, Dustin Ping, and Brian Snare, but then about another 3 seconds back to that group being led by the 80 of Brian Littleton. So the front of the field looks like it's pretty much dominated by the Falcon Motorsports and Black Hawk Motorsports and most of the other guys. It looks like pretty much just Dirty Air and Muddy Water Racing back there hanging out off the lead pack.
Yeah, and, you know, it takes a lot of concentration, Dave, to be in one of these race cars and know that you can't go up there and simply just slam into somebody in front of you because of the way these cars handle, because of the way the bumper designs, the front bumper to the rear bumper. You have to be spot on. And, Dave, it's kind of one of those situations that if you don't think you're right on the money, you can't really lay the bumper to somebody.
Yeah, these bumpers, as we've already stated, they don't quite line up. They don't quite allow you to bump, beat, and bang as much as you would like to, as we head down now with an inboard shot, onboard camera shot here with the 6 of Eric Blount running in the third. Now make it second position all over that 48. These drivers say they couldn't push, but it looked like he was pushing pretty good right there.
Yes, it did. It looked like that Jimmy Hetrick was throwing a hand up saying, hey, buddy, hey, not just yet.
Yeah, that 48, it was pretty tail happy. Looks a little tail happy here coming through the tri-oval, but you can hear the throttle out of that 6. It is going in and out. It's not just full throttle hammer down all the time. You do hear him working the throttle just a little bit as we continue to watch that 48 just get super loose right in front of this 6 being driven by Eric Blount.
I will have to give Eric a shout-out. I'm loving the Mark Martin throwback scheme. 96, 97, Mark Martin ran that car maybe even a little earlier than that. Absolutely love those Valvoline colors. As I'm telling you what, we talk about that outside lane doing something crazy. How about Travis Quattlebaum and Brian Kaufman? They are down there on their own. Well, now as I say that, Quattlebaum rushes up in front of Hetrick. Hetrick turns him into the outside wall. Caution flag will fly, and Dave, man, oh man, Quattlebaum looked like he moved up just a hair trying to block the run of that outside line, and nowhere to go was Jimmy Hetrick, and we got our first caution of the race.
Yeah, and it looks like that's exactly what it was. We're going to take a couple looks at it here. There you see the 93 coming up just in front of the 48 of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. coming up the track and just kind of hooking himself, just not enough space right there and coming across the 48 of Jimmy Hetrick. Oh, a lot of drivers barely making it by, and it looks like, I believe that may be Troy Radford with a little bit of contact late after all of that. And we'll watch it one more time as the 93, there you have it, just coming up the track, trying to block that run. A little bit early to be blocking the runs here at Talladega.
Yeah, and I'm kind of shocked he left the bottom. There was no real good reason to leave the bottom and block that outside lane with Kaufman being the only car down there. And man, oh man, you want to talk about scattering. These race cars went everywhere. Really a heads up, Dave, from I would say about 10th on back coming to that mess, especially Melvin Young was there, Tyler Hilton. Almost all the Falcon Motorsports guys got through there, but man, oh man. And just like that, we see a shake-up at the front.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of drivers with some things going on. Hetrick, Blount, Radford, Quattlebaum, as well as Derek Robinson, Kendall Levron, Dustin Ping, Michael Massengill, all Justin Walters, also with a little bit of some issues during all of that. So a good handful of drivers caught up, but I don't think it's going to be too bad for the majority of the field, as it looks like the entire field onto pit road this time by. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step away for a brief commercial break, get things ready to go back green flag racing here from Talladega Super Speedway. Backtrack side here at Talladega Super Speedway. Pace truck lights have went out. We will get set to go back green flag racing this time by Brian Kaufman in the 7. Gonna have control of the race. Gonna line up. First car inside a row. Thomas Light gonna be lined up just to his outside. Derek Robinson in 3rd. Chuck Mobley 4th. Dustin Ping in 5th. Michael Massengill will round out that top 6 for this restart, Cody. And long way to go still for these drivers. All these drivers electing to come to pit road. Nobody staying out, nobody gambling. So everybody kind of resetting and getting ready to pull the belts tight and go after it all over again.
Yeah, Dave, a whole nother level of excitement in these restarts. 17 laps in. We're going to be coming to lap 18 when we come back to green. Really an impressive opening run for this group. I know we talked the first few laps of some of these races have been tough so far this season, but a really good heads up at the start of this race, and we see some guys that are up front right now that are hunting for their first win of the season. So let's see how things shape up. Mark Byers, he started tail end of the field, Dave, and after those pit stops, him and Michael Masongill both are plus 20 spots. I'll now make it 23 spots as we get ready to come back green. So a lot of drivers coming to the front after that caution. We'll see how things shake out.
We'll see how things shake out on this next green flag run. Excuse me, as Brian Kaufman brings the field back to the restart box. A little bit of gap back to his help, Chuck Mobley. Green flag back in the air. Not a great restart at all for your race leader. Big gap back to his help. Thomas Light has his help. Derek Robinson right there on his gearbox already. Now Chuck Mobley slowly starting to pick up the speed and close the distance, but that outside lane, those top two, Cody, they're already hooked up and ready to go. And now Thomas Light gonna drop to the bottom, leave his help, leave the 38 high and dry on that outside lane. Gonna push that 7 of Brian Kaufman back into turn number 3.
Yeah, Dave, I kind of think that was what was setting up in that whole process. I felt like that Thomas Light was going to be jumping in front of his teammate Chuck Mobley. That's maybe why that gap was so big on the green flag, but man, oh man, it left Derek Robertson all out to dry on that outside line, and he has absolutely no help as they come to the start-finish line this time by.
Yeah, going to be at least 10 car lengths back before he's got any help, so that 38's just got to hold on tight and hold on strong until that 86 of Travis Arthur gets there. Arthur on the way. Then the 19 of Rick Reinert, he's out there on the outside lane as well. So the outside lane going to slowly get together, slowly start moving to the front, as we're going to have some drivers mixing it up again as the outside lane starting to get organized now through the center of 3 and 4. Brian Kaufman still leading the field, still has help from the 98 of Thomas Light.
Yeah, Dave, I don't know if Rick Reinert just simply didn't get the message with the rest of his teammates or what. He's tired of riding in the back. He's got that Bass Pro Shop machine on the 3rd spot on the outside, and right now he's driven all the way up to 6th. So the rest of his teammates are in the back, but he said he's ready to go. So we'll see how far Rick Reinert can take this 19 Bass Pro Shops car as we hit lap 20 right now.
And through multiple years and multiple races with that 19 of Rick Reinert, as Travis Arthur looks to jump to the outside, thinks better of it, stays down there on that inside lane. Reinert very good when it comes to plate racing. One of those drivers that you don't mind pushing, and you definitely don't mind having him as your pusher. And sometimes you just got to find out what your car will do. Maybe the team strategy is to kind of lay back and just kind of hang out, but you need to know what you can do when you can do it and how long it's going to take you to do it, because you got to know at the end of this thing, is it going to take the move at 5 laps or can we wait till 3? Sometimes you just got to go and find out, and I think that's what that 19 of Rick Reinert's doing right now as he continues his drive to the front. Still, second car outside lane just behind that 38 of Derek Robinson, battling for the 4th and 3rd position with the 76 of Chuck Mobley.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Thomas Light and Chuck Mobley, they are moving around everywhere. They've went to the high line. They came to the low line, going back and forth, trying to feel where their cars are most comfortable. And right now, they are hugging that yellow line through the tri-oval here at Talladega, coming to lap 22 of our 75, so almost a quarter of the way into this feature here tonight from Talladega Super Speedway, the halfway point for the RFC Light Electric Company ARCA Menard Series as Super Speedway race number 1 of 2. Don't forget, next week we'll have the week off, and then we head to the World Center of Racing Daytona for race number 11.
Yeah, I absolutely love going to Daytona. Don't get me wrong, Talladega is great. Here's the thing: if you haven't been to both tracks, race fans, here it is, broke down as simple as I can put it. If you want to party and have a great time, Talladega is the place to be for your plate racing. If you want to go and enjoy yourself and have a great race and see just an amazing track, Daytona is definitely the place. But Party City here at Talladega Boulevard, boy, ooh, Cody, I'm telling you what.
Man, it's exciting, and I'm telling you a unique stat. I don't know how many fans we got out there that like the SEC and football, but all 14 stadiums, this is pretty cool, all 14 SEC football stadiums can fit on the inside of Talladega's infield. That gives you kind of a idea of how big this place really is. Oh, Mark Byers gets into the inside of Travis Arthur. Arthur goes around. Dave, we've got havoc in turn 3.
Cars flipping, Eric Blount going for a ride. Oh my goodness. Flipping is that 6 machine, the Valvoline machine, coming to a rest. I tell you what, let's take a look, see what happened here. Oh my goodness, that was a tough one there.
Man, oh man, just looked like simple contact, Dave. Mark Byers looks like he floated up the track. Just got into the side of Travis Arthur, who was having a great run.
And there you see, yeah, it looks like Byers just a little bit of contact, and oh my gosh. That contact between Arthur and Eric Blount, oh my Lord. Ooh, Gordon Larson Jr. just skating through, and then, my goodness, Eric Blount, I mean, just look at the car. Absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, and I really like that car, Dave. We talked about it a few moments ago, but it looks like, unfortunately, Eric Blount's night may come to an end, and I did want to mention, I actually didn't get to it a moment ago, but looks like last week's winner, Troy Radford, he's already in the garage after that first incident. So a lot of drivers we've seen up front tonight already got plenty of damage.
And unfortunately for these RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company Orca Menards K&N Series drivers, no fast repairs, so it's run what you brung. And when you come to a plate track, that's not always always a good thing, because I mean, there you see it in the blink of an eye. That's all it takes. Eric Blount's day pretty much done and over with, and Gordon Larson Jr. pretty much skating by with about an eyelash to spare. So I mean, it's millimeters that can keep you safe at a plate track.
Yeah, most definitely. And you know, we talk about the wrong place at the wrong time. That was kind of that situation, because the contact we mentioned, it was Mark Byers getting into Travis Arthur. Looks like the number 3 machine walked away with not really a lot of damage at all. And Eric Blount was just the innocent bystander, Dave. He was just simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he was picked up in that. Could have been a whole lot worse where that wreck was at. The wrecks that happen in these turns, Dave, they just have a way of sucking people in, but we got kind of lucky in that wreck in turn 3.
Yeah, and I mean, when something happens in the middle of the corners, or, I mean, anytime in the banking here through the corners, the cars like to go up the hill and then back down the hill, and most of the time, drivers through the field, if they get on the brakes real hard, that's going to slide them a little bit sideways, and more than likely they head to the apron, and they find themselves right back in trouble, involved in the chaos and carnage as well. So when it happens, there's so many different things that you gotta watch for. Plate racing, I absolutely love it because I don't care about iRating, but some of these guys, yeah, it's tough for a lot of the drivers.
Yeah, it is, most definitely. And you take a look at the way we're going to line back up. Gordon Larson Jr. did not pit that time. So we will see if a little bit of old tires is going to be okay as far as being out there. He's really the first driver that I think we've saw kind of take a risk. And that's what he's going to do, is he's going to stay out there and not come in for fuel this last time around. Brian Kaufman went in, Thomas Light, Chuck Mobley, Thomas Quattlebaum, Derek Robinson, and there's Jimmy Hetrick. He's brought his 48 Lowe's machine back up to 7th, so not too much damage on that machine after that first incident, and that's kind of some good news.
As we've got a lot of drivers hitting pit road once again here. Last opportunity to hit pit road, as I believe the pace truck lights are going to go out. Looks like only your top 9 drivers staying out on track. Ton of drivers going down pit road. So many not going to be able to name them all, as it's all flipping, flopping, going crazy through timing and scoring right now. But at least, well over half your field, if only 9 drivers actually stayed out there on track. So little bit of different fuel strategy out there for a few of these drivers. Going to be able to go a lap or two further should we have that green flag run, Cody. So maybe fuel strategy being thought of as well.
Yeah, Dave, and having 25, make it 26 laps in the books, that's a quarter of the way. We're 1/3 of a way through this race, and I really think the 25 lap mark on fuel is doable. So they may be looking at the drivers, they being the ones that come in here most recently, maybe trying to do this on one more stop. Try to throw one more pit stop in there, maybe once we get past lap 50, and try to ride this thing out. Or they could just simply be, playing some of that strategy to try to group some of these cars together.
Yeah, these drivers all going to have to hit pit road at least one more time. It's just a matter of how much fuel are they going to need on that next stop. Are they going to split it, come back down, as you said, right around the 50-lap mark with just 25 laps to go? Or will some of them try to stretch this thing on out and be on pit road as little time as possible?
Needless to say, is that Chevrolet Silverado pace truck lights are out. It's going to duck back on pit road, and we're going to see if we can get things squared away and ready to go racing once again. If you're just joining us, 2 cautions so far in the event. They've made up 6 laps, so 20 green flag laps as the field stacks them up 2 by 2, Dave, and they're rolling towards you.
A side by side once again with the long trip around the front stretch too. This a restart box here at Talladega Super Speedway. Gordon Larson Jr. in the 01 has the field in his hands. On the gas, green flag. Once again here at Talladega Super Speedway, Brian Kaufman with a great restart on the outside. Chuck Mobley right there behind him. Inside lane not getting going. Looks like that's by design as Mobley drops down right in front of his teammate Thomas Light. And that 98 machine, that's going to leave Brian Kaufman high and dry on the outside. Help from the 38 of Derek Robinson coming as here comes Melvin Young in the 10.
Yeah, Melvin Young, he's the 3rd car on that outside line. Right now, the inside lane is just stacking up the horsepower. Those 3 drivers on the bottom that we have seen most of the race from that group Hammer Down Motorsports, they are running together. They control the point right now. But here comes Brian Kaufman, Dave. He has just been solid on his own, staying door to door with the top 2.
Yeah, staying right there. The fight is not over with yet. Looks like Melvin Young having a little bit of connection issues, blinking here and there on us. Back there, 3rd car in line outside row. But Brian Kaufman not going anywhere, trying to side draft a little bit. The side draft here in iRacing, not as prevalent or useful as it is in real life. Still a very real thing, just not quite as effective, but it is working just enough to keep that 7 of Kaufman in the fight up there, side by side with your race leader Gordon Larson Jr. down on the inside. Still battling for that top spot here as we come off of turn number 4, heading to the stripe to take lap 29 out of the 75 scheduled in the official race distance here tonight in the Mission 22 75.
Yeah, Dave, and I'm looking back to about a 13th spot. They're starting to stack up 2 by 2. You've got this long green flag, or this long bottom line starting to come together. But now Doug Wasaki, he's got a little bit of an outside group starting to form. So we'll see if that outside line, once they pick up more drivers, which it looks like Dustin Ping's going to join the hunt now, we'll see if this outside line can get together and charge up and hook up with the front group.
Yeah, and it's still a very long train of cars. Do have a little bit of house cleaning to do here as we inch closer and closer to the halfway point here tonight in the Mission 2275. We started tonight's race with 30 drivers. We still have 27 out there on the track. All 27 of those drivers still on the lead lap. And just so you get a picture of how close these drivers are running, the gap from first all the way back to 18th, or scratch that, make that 18th, less than 1 second.
Yeah, so it's still anybody's race, which, that's what we expect when we come here. 2.5-mile oval. This place is exciting all the way around. That's what people love coming to Talladega. It's just the craziness that this place presents. And right now, we've got a battle for the lead, Dave. They're still side by side as only 30 laps in the books of the 75, and they are racing up front like it's for the win.
And want to highlight a driver up front. There you see the 48 of Jimmy Hetrick involved in that incident with Eric Blount. And, with Thomas Quattlebaum Jr., our first caution here tonight. And luckily that crew doing a heck of a job's got him out there running, knocking on the door of a top 5. But we've got a change for the lead. Brian Kaufman finally able to work his way by Gordon Larson Jr. Now Larson Jr. jumps back to the outside, trying to hunt for some draft help out of that 38 of Derek Robinson, try to reclaim the lead from the hands of that 7 of Brian Kaufman.
Yeah, and some of these drivers like the clean air. Some of these race cars like the clean air, so that may be something for Gordon Larson Jr. He jumped to that high side. He is going to pull Derek Robinson to the front, and now Gordon Larson Jr. fighting for that lead through this long tri-oval here at Talladega as the front 4 rows are side by side.
Yeah, your first 4 rows still side by side. Your top 8 all right there, still battling side by side. And something I'm noticing is these drivers, they're not really close. They're getting to about it's a tough distance to really judge. I want to say half of a quarter of a nose, if that makes any sense. They're pretty close, maybe a foot or so off of the bumper. They're not quite pushing, but they're not really leaving a ton of space either. And it looks like the front of this field's starting to step away just a little bit now on the drivers through the field as your top 10 starting to step away, I should say, from Katie Osmond. Look at him. He's back there running in the 11th position, starting to lose the tail end of this lead pack.
Yeah, and this lead pack, they are racing side by side, Dave, but they are keeping a pretty solid line. Now, our cameras here at the Turn 3 Racing Network, really awesome camera work. These cars, just because it looks like they're running in a straight line, Dave, these cars are moving. You're seeing them sway left to right. You're seeing them get somewhat out of shape, just like Melvin Young did right then. Going into Turn 3, looked like he shifted way up the racetrack. So these drivers have their hands full, and you may not think of tire wear, but the longer this race goes, the more these tires wear, Dave, the looser these cars are going to be.
Yeah, and I mean, the longer these runs go, the lighter the rear of the car is going to be because they're burning that fuel off along with the tire wear. And the rear end of these cars just get looser and looser as we see Melvin Young, big handful right now out of that 10 GoDaddy Light Electric Arca Menards K&N Series car. Very tail happy. Looks like he's got his hands extremely full, as down on the apron of the 86 of Travis Arthur just kind of stays out of the way of the lead pack. Then a very long train of cars down there on the bottom. That's from about 11th on back. Katie Osmond leading that very long train of cars, and not in danger of losing touch, but they've got a long road ahead of them.
Yeah, and you got to feel it for Travis Arthur, Dave. First time we've really been able to mention his name all year. He was running in 4th when that accident happened, and that Monster Energy number 86 machine went to the pit road, and they've had their work cut out for him since then. So tough break for him. But I'm telling you what, we're starting to see a lot of moving going on in the top 8 right now. I don't know if it's where the fuel's burning out of these race cars or they're just getting antsy of running in a straight line, but a lot of movement right now in that top 10.
Yes, it is. Drivers all over the place. Cars wiggling around a little bit. Drivers clipping the apron just a little bit as we take a look back from the top of the 76 of Chuck Mobley. There you see just behind him that 98 of Thomas Light as the 10 goes to his outside. There you see the 48 of Jimmy Hetrick. So you see the runs happening right there in real time You see how much these drivers are moving around, how bumpy this track is. And ladies and gentlemen, I mean, you got to keep in mind this is upwards of 190, 195 miles an hour, just lap after lap, tucked in right behind another driver. As we have an onboard camera shot now here with that 76 of Chuck Mobley. When you're right there tucked in behind somebody, you really can't see anything.
No, you can't, and it's not like these cars come with brake lights either. If something's going on in front of you, you've really got to feel the way the race cars are moving. As Melvin Young sits there in third, he's sucked up on the back of that Derek Robinson machine, and if Derek Robinson has to let up for Gordon Larson Jr., you know, Melvin's got to predict it before it gets there. It's not like, you know, a lot of times drivers can communicate with hand signals, but you don't really have that option here, especially in the iRacing format. So you've got to be able to predict, because you can't just go up and slam into the back of these race cars. We've seen what happens when they make contact, but right now they're doing a good job, Dave. You mentioned that little bit of a gap they're giving, and they're keeping that up front. That's why I think we're starting to see laps tick away, as lap 37 is going to be complete this time.
Yeah, and I mean, still the top 10 drivers all within 1 second of each other. Then you've got about a 1.2 seconds back to Katie Osmond, and then that long train of cars includes a lot of drivers: Brian Snare, Michael Massengill, Brandon Medford, Chris Medford, Tyler Hilton, Damon Cox, Brian Littleton, Brian Mescal Jr., Rick Reiner, Lance Yancey. A lot of big-name drivers back there in that long train of cars, just kind of still riding Biden time, I guess, just waiting for the big one. We have had 2 cautions so far here tonight from Talladega Superspeedway, but maybe a few of these drivers and crew chiefs thinking that there's yet more to come, and it's going to be a lot bigger when it does happen, as I don't know, we may see some green flag pit stops starting to happen, as it looks like the entire field now lined up single file running that inside lane.
Yeah, and I was working the math here a little bit. That first stint, they ran 15 laps before they pitted. As we officially hit the halfway point this time by, there was 15 laps of green flag before some of those drivers came in, 14 laps this time. So interesting to see when they'll start maybe dive into pit road, Dave. Some of these drivers may be trying to stretch it to get to that lap 50 mark so they can do it in one more stop. But everybody right now is on the bottom of the racetrack rolling around Talladega.
Yeah, everybody down there, and right now's one of those moments in the race as we see it looks like the 3 of Mark Viers, looks like he was looking to go high there for just a brief moment. This is one of those times in the race when, well, you really want to make the move, but you kind of shouldn't. And just as I say that, Mark Viers, he ducks out, looking to go to the front now. He's got a bit of a run. Let's see if it stalls out. This is one of those times, though, if the run doesn't work out, he's going to find himself falling very, very deep through the field. Right now, working for him, though, as he is almost side by side with your race leader, now looking for the race lead halfway down the backstretch. My God, what a run. To the lead, the 3. My goodness.
How did Mark Viers just pull off that move? He was back there in 7th, and he ducked out by himself, and he drove to the front with that 3 car. Holy moly, he just simply just outran the top 6 cars.
That I don't even know what I just saw. I don't even know what I just saw. That was unbelievable.
Well, you know, Dave, there is some magic here at this place with a number 3 race car, so maybe there was a little bit of magic in what we just saw. But I have never seen a driver pull out by himself and just go to the front. And that's exactly what he did. New race leader, Mark Viers.
And I don't think some of these drivers up here in the front of this field have ever seen anything like that either, because now look back there about right where Mark Viers took off from. That 7th spot, they now are 1.3 seconds off of your race leader. So Gordon Larson Jr. Falling a little bit behind after Mark Viers pulled out from his spot. that top 6, they've just took off and left the rest of the field now.
Yeah, and it looks like Gordon Larson Jr., he's on pit road, so he's going to be the first car to go to pit road by himself. But, yeah, I can see that being a trending topic as here comes Derek Robinson. Him and Melvin Young have decided they're going to give the Highliner a run, and they drove for it down the back straightaway.
Now looking for help, Jimmy Hetrick looks to join Melvin Young and Derek Robinson halfway down the back stretch. The 7 of Brian Kaufman right there on the bumper of that 3 machine. Firestein at the front. I don't think he's going to have anything that he can keep that fight up with. That 38 of Robinson, as now the 10 gets there with the help. Can't really push here. Boy's going to have to be careful through the tri-oval. Looks like not quite clear just yet. Gonna lead the lap at the line, though, the 38 of Derek Robinson, new leader here at Talladega Superspeedway.
Yeah, Dave, and you can bet everybody that was within viewing distance of what Mark Vyers did a few laps ago took note. Maybe that's something we're going to see a little bit later on in this race, as right now Derek Robinson has the lead. Melvin Young peeked to the outside, but he's going to get back in line. But right now that 3 car showing muscle again. He's hanging on to the point.
Yeah, and I'm looking through some timing and scoring right now, Cody, and some of these drivers may find themselves in a little bit of trouble. They're going to need the help of one of those dreaded caution flags if they're going to want to catch up with the field and have a shot at tonight's race win. Looks like somewhere right around that 14th, 15th position from about Doug Lasaki on back. They find themselves about 6 or more seconds off of the race lead. So, I mean, they're losing ground pretty quickly, and if they don't get help soon, they're going to find their race win hopes right out the window.
Yeah, Dave, that's kind of the trouble with getting back there and, you know, laying around in the back like what they were doing. And I don't know if Dirty Air Racing, that was their plan, and then maybe them get together and make a run. But with the distance now, Dave, I don't really know that they could put that run together.
Yeah, because, I mean, the runs are a lot harder now as we see 3 wide racing at the front of the field as your race leaders go by. The 01 of Gordon Larson Jr. Gordon Larson Jr. still getting up to speed after hitting pit road. Only car to come to pit road from the lead lap so far here. So he should possibly be good to go to the end should we stay green flag racing right now being scored as the first car 1 lap down. But, I mean, that's just the trouble, man. You can't push in these cars the way that you can with some of the other cars where the bumpers line up. So when you find yourself behind, it's a lot harder to gain that distance, to gain that momentum back up the way that you truly need to.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm looking at my old pit board I've got here. 20 laps now on these tires for at least the top 8. So I'm thinking, Dave, maybe the next 4 to 5 laps, we're going to start seeing some of these guys come towards pit road. If that's the case, this outside line with Derek Robinson, Melvin Young, Jimmy Hetrick, and Gordon, well, not Gordon Larson Jr., but the outside line, you're going to see them start shuffling to the bottom because they're going to have to get there if they're going to pit. So that might be the indication if we see any of these outside lane drivers try to sort their way to the bottom.
And as the field at the front continues to battle side by side, Melvin Young, big move back and forth up there at the front. Looks like he's testing a third line out there. Nope, gonna slot in behind that 38 of Derek Robinson. While the front of the field is up here battling like this, the one thing that possibly some of these drivers and teams a little bit further through the field can do is while these guys are focused on racing, go ahead and hit that pit lane. Go ahead and short pit. Try to undercut them. Be on and off pit road first, up to speed first, and hopefully leapfrog them on the track. You know, it's a hope and a prayer, but you got to do something that they're not.
Yeah, and that outside line, I just saw it right then. Melvin Young trying to side draft off Brian Kaufman, and Kaufman was coming up to side draft him. Now Young goes to the bottom line. Dave, this could be the move to see if we can get some of these cars to pit lane as Melvin Young gets down, but Jimmy Hetrick and Derek Robinson still stuck on the outside. Here comes Katie Osmond. Dave, where did he come from?
Osmond was sitting just a little bit over about a second and a half off of the race lead just about 2 laps ago or so. A great run by him. Not quite sure where he found the speed all of a sudden, but he was able to find it. Now we see Hetrick as well as Robinson jump down to the bottom to that inside lane. So look for green flag pit stops here in the next few laps, as the only driver right now on that outside line is the 01 of Gordon Larson Jr. being scored 1 lap down. Let's see if he can do the same thing that we seen earlier and use that outside lane all by himself like Vyers did. It looks like he's going to be able to now, driving right up there side by side to battle with your race leader into turn number 3.
Dave, I cannot believe it. I have never seen anything like this. One car gets out by themselves and just simply drives to the front. Is he going to have enough momentum, though, to make the move? It doesn't look like he's going to be able to do that.
It may stall out right when he gets there, but if he hangs tough over the next few laps, he should be able to make up the ground to get by. I mean, you were able to pass 3, 4, 5 cars by yourself. You should. Looks like he's going to pull down, get a little bit of a tow off of that 7 for a brief moment. May get that run kicked back up one more time. Big side draft now, side by side with the race leader. Halfway down the backstretch now into turn number 3. 1 car separates Gordon Larson Jr. from your race leader, the 3 of Mark Vyers, as they make their way through 3 now off of turn number 4. Cars breaking for pit lane at the front. Brian Kaufman, looks like Melvin Young. Derek Robinson also to pit road. Jimmy Hetrick to pit road as well.
Yeah, here comes that first group, and it mostly looks like it's going to be that group from Hardline Racing is going to hit pit road, and they're going to be the first taker. So we'll see how things shake out when they come off of pit road. Dave, I don't think the other drivers are going to be able to stay out there very long. I think they're going to have to make their way to pit road, and Chuck Mobley may lead this next group.
Yeah, and a little bit of a moment there for Mark Vyers. He went way up the track out of turn number 2. Not quite sure why, but his car shot way up the track off of turn number 2. Now Gordon Larson Jr. going up to the outside. Do keep in mind that 01 is being scored down 1 lap. First car being scored down 1 lap. Oh, bit of a moment there as Vyers was coming to pit road. Mobley was not. Almost stacked the field up right there. Looks like Vyers, Justin Walters, Damon Cox, Brian Mescal Jr., Brian Littleton, Jason Edmiston, Lance Yancey, Cody Terry, as well as Rick Reinert, all on to pit road that time by. And if you want my opinion, Cody, which I know it's so valued and loved by all of our fans, friends, and family out there watching on the YouTube side, that's the kind of group that I want to come to pit road with. I know the smaller group is a lot easier and a lot easier to manage coming onto pit road, but I want the numbers. I want to be able to get onto pit road with a lot of drivers and get off of pit road with a lot of drivers to hopefully get up to speed and get wound back up and going just as quickly as possible. As now we see the front of the field coming to pit road. Chuck Mobley, he brings a line of cars to pit road. That's going to leave the 93 of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. out on track, leading your top 5.
Yeah, most definitely, Dave. I'm just sitting here shaking my head because Mark Vyers pulled onto pit road, and there was absolutely no room for error. Thomas Light almost drilled the back end of that number 3 car, and that just goes to show you, you've got to go from 190 plus mile an hour to 55 on this pit road here at Talladega. There's no communication. Yeah, you might be coming with your teammates. That helps a lot. But if you're not a teammate, you know, it's just simply a mad stretch to try to get onto pit road. And right now, we've seen the field kind of spread out. We, for the first time today, have race cars all over this 2.5-mile oval here at Talladega. And Dave, that may be the case right now, but once these cars start to come together, I don't think that's going to last very long.
As we continue to see those green flag pit stops happen, your race leader, the 93 of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr., brings his Light Electric Company Arca Menards K&N Series car down pit road. Chris Medford, Doug Wasaki, Brandon Medford, Tyler Hilton, all on pit road as well. Ray Radford now bringing his machine to pit road. That's going to give the race lead, the eventual race lead, to the 38. No, Jimmy Hetrick with a push from the 7 of Brian Kaufman. Those two drivers gonna hightail it right on around and leave Robinson in the dust. And this may have just worked out here for that 48 of Hetrick and the 7 of Brian Kaufman, because there's a bit of a gap now, Cody, between Kaufman and the help behind him of Robinson, and Robinson's got a bit of a gap back to Osmond.
Yeah, and right now the main thing for those two is just be careful. 7 of Brian Kaufman's got a huge run, but man, oh man, he's playing with the danger of that back bumper of the 48. But as you mentioned, they are pulling away, but we've seen a single car make a run. So can Derek Robertson run down these top two? We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out over the course of the next few laps as we have worked our way under the 25 lap to go mark. All of the drivers on to pit road for what could be their final stops of the race here tonight in the Mission 2275 at Talladega Superspeedway here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Do want to take a moment to say thank you to each and every one of you fans, friends, and family out there joining us each and every time you do here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Without you, there'd be no us, so we do appreciate you joining us each and every time, whether it's myself, Darkside Dave, or Cody up here in the booth with me as well, or any of the rest of the guys back at the Turn 3 headquarters. We do appreciate each and every time you join us here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. If you haven't already, throw these drivers a thumbs up, click the subscribe, smash the bell over there on the right-hand side, get notified anytime we go live, as Derek Robinson in the 38 machine has found a way to drive his way back up to the top two, and we have got a trio. Your top three have broken away from the field, almost a 2-second gap back to the driver running in the 4th position, the 98 of Thomas Light. So look for Hetrick, Kaufman, and Robinson to be cool, calm, and collective, and maybe battle this thing out on the last 2 or 3 laps.
Dave, I'm just shocked that Derek Robinson was able to run down these top two. I have been totally blown away at what one car by themselves have been able to accomplish. It has been unreal.
Well, I've been blown away that these 3 drivers were able to step away from the field. They've got themselves about a 3.2-second gap back to what is, well, this hornet's nest of a mess. The entire field back here, just about 3.5 seconds off your race lead. There you see them just everywhere, side by side, and it looks like this pack being led by Dirty Air Racing's Brian Mescal Jr. He's got Brian Littleton just behind him. And then I do believe that's Jason Edmonston in the 71 right there just behind Littleton. As Littleton goes to the bottom, and the 8 turns the 98. Thomas Light spins down off the apron. We're going to stay green flag racing as no officials deeming no need to pull the caution there. Tough break for that 98. He's going to need a lot of help.
Yeah, Dave, and we were talking about Dirty Air Racing, laying back, way back there. Somebody in that team said, hey, we've got to go, and we've got to go now. And right now, Brian Mescal Jr. leads the charge with Brian Littleton, Rick Reiner, Cody Terry, Lance Yancey. They're all right there. Jason Edmonston's right there in the middle of that hornet's nest. But they are going to have to sort things out if they want to run down the top 3, Dave, because right now, that top 3 is pulling away.
Yeah, you've got 3 drivers out there right now. Looks like the 71 of Jason Edmonston, followed by Lance Yancey. Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. is that 3rd car in that outside lane. Long train of cars down there on the inside. These drivers have been able, Cody. They've actually made up right at about 1 second over the past 3 laps. That gap was just at about 3.5 seconds now, right down at about 2.2 seconds. So when they're not fighting 3 wide, these drivers are making up some ground in this second pack. I don't know if they're going to have enough time to get there, but the gap is slowly closing.
Yeah, with only 18 laps to go this time by, that Dirty Air Racing group is going to have to hug that yellow line and simply suck on the air that what these front 3 are given. But I'm telling you what, if the front 3 works together, they might be able to shut the door. Never mind. I take that back. That 33 machine is leading a charge, and Dave, they're only about 6 car lengths off the top spot, and here they come into turn 3.
Yeah, here they come, but what do they do when they get there? Do they hold the run or do they go around? Looks like Rick Greinert, he goes to the top. He gets a little bit loose as Brian Mescal Jr. now side by side with the 7 of Brian Kaufman. This Dirty Air Racing team looking to go to the front of the field now. Brian Mescal Jr. being pushed by Brian Littleton, Rick Greinert right there. Cody Terry, 4th car in line. The 22 holding strong right there with his teammates as that outside lane has gotten clear. Littleton and Mescal Jr. staying to that outside lane right now. Looks like they want to keep that high side the place to be, where you want to keep the run up there at the top of the track. It's a lot easier to block a run coming from the bottom than it is a run coming from the top.
Yeah, Dave, but what that group done, they came to the front in a hurry, but look what they've done. They have brought everybody with them, including a group at the bottom of the racetrack. You now have somewhat of a line forming at the bottom, so we will see if that bottom line can form up enough as Jimmy Hetrick now starts to pull up beside Kaufman. Here comes Brian Mescal Jr. He throws the first block.
Brian Mescal Jr. goes to the bottom. That's going to leave the 80 of Brian Littleton out there leading that outside lane. Rick Greinert just behind him. Cody Terry now 3rd car in line in the outside lane. Jason Edmondson, the 71 right there, 4th car. A lot of drivers making a lot of moves, a lot of wiggles. Cars moving around a lot. Coming off of turn number 2, halfway down the backstretch now. Chuck Mobley looking to the inside, maybe thinking about a 3 wide for a moment. The 19 as well of the 80 dropping down right in front of that 33 of Brian Mescal Jr. Put the 80 of Brian Littleton to the front of the field. New race leader.
Yeah, Dave, and as they say in a lot of Talladega races, 15 laps to go, business is picking up at the front. Cody Terry, we haven't talked about him all day. He's door-to-door with our race leader, Brian Kaufman, going into turn 1.
Going into turn 1, trying to make their way around a slower car at the top of the track. The 47 of Ray Radford staying right out there up next to that outside wall. Field makes their way by. No issues. We continue green flag racing. 15 laps remain here at Talladega Superspeedway, and we can see the intensity has already begun to pick up, and it's only going to get thicker and thicker. I don't know if that's the right word, but it sounded good.
I think they knew what you meant, Dave, especially with the way they're getting to see these cars move around. I'm telling you what, it looks like a parade lap at 190 mile an hour. And on the outside, Thomas Quattlebaum Jr., he's going to try to do what we've seen other drivers do, go to the front on his own. And, Dave, he's up to the outside of that 4th row now.
Yeah, but he's trying to do it as a 3rd car now, 3 wide by Thomas Quattlebaum Jr., and it looks like that 93 is heading to the front. He's moving towards the front of the field now, side by side with Jason Edmondson and the 80 of Brian Littleton. 3, almost 4 wide through turn number 3 for a moment. Front of the field mixing it up here. Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. losing a little bit of ground now. The 3rd lane starting to fall back just a little bit as the 22 of Cody Terry still side by side with the 80 of Brian Littleton for the race lead. Terry gonna come through the tri-oval, cross the stripe, take leading the race into 1.
Dave, don't look now, but as these drivers race side by side up here in the top 10, here comes Katie Osmond, here comes Tyler Hilton, Brian Snare, Chris Medford. They're starting to line up right behind them, as now we've got Brian Kaufman. He's way off the racetrack on the inside line.
Yeah, Littleton way off of the track there for a moment as things are getting dicey up here at the front. 3 and 4 wide at times. Littleton having to get out of dodge. Evasive maneuvers right there keeps the car headed in the right direction. But yeah, these drivers at the front of the field putting on a show for sure. Tighten your belts, race fans. This is about to get nice. Or it's about to get ugly, one of the two.
Lance Yancey came in tied for 2nd in the points. He has been in the back all night. He's out front now, showing the way with Cody Terry behind him. And now things start to calm down the back straightaway. but I don't think that's going to last very long, Dave.
Calm down. I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess they went from 3 wide to 2 wide, still wiggling, wobbling all over the track. So I guess it's a little bit calmer, but we all know how that goes and how things are here at these plate racing tracks. Talladega Superspeedway. You just wait, give it another lap or two. These drivers going to reset and try to reform a run. And I'm sure we'll see that 2-3 wide once again as Chuck Mobley drops down to the bottom, takes the race lead away from that 71 of Jason Edmonston, as now Kendall Levron in that 8 machine, he looks to put that Exxon machine at the front of the field, as a lot of drivers, they're getting a little bit squirrely out there.
Yeah, they are, Dave, but they're still side by side, the first 4 rows, as they dive off into turns 3 and 4. Brian Maskill Jr., he's dropped now back to that 9th spot. You got to be wondering if he's trying to get Kaufman hooked up with him to try to make another run to the front. But as for the moment, right now, it's Chuck Mobley, it's Kendall Levron, and it's James Edmonston out front at Talladega.
And I almost wonder if the run there by the Dirty Air Motorsports team drivers maybe wasn't a little bit too soon. We seen them drive right up to the front. Pretty much the entire team cycled themselves to the race lead at one point in time. But now you see him starting to fall back through the field. Oh, as Melvin Young gets spun to the inside. Contact with the inside wall. Takes the 19 of Rick Reinert with him as well. We'll take a look here on the replay at that as we continue to say green flag racing. Looks like, just a little bit of a push gone wrong. And that sent the 10 around. Tough break. There you see it. That collected the 19. Will rejoin the race back at the front and live here. Still green flag racing at the front of the field. Side by side, Chuck Mobley and Kendall Levron's battle at the stripe. Side by side back into turn number 1. Cody, man, this is business picking up.
Yeah, Dave, and here comes about 7 other drivers grouping up. Lance Yancey's got a group lining up, it looks like, on the outside.
Yeah, and it looks like Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. not happy with running behind the 8. He looks to go 3 wide for the race lead. High, wide, and handsome is that 93 of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. He's going to lose a little bit of ground now as that middle lane starts to prevail. The 8 of Kendall Levron being pushed by the 7, followed by the 77 of Lance Yancey. They drift up the track just a little bit. And I got to wonder, is one of these drivers going to put the nose of the car right in that space one of these times here in the next coming laps, as the top 2 from that outside lane make their way by Mobley and drop to the bottom. New race leader off of 2, the 8 of Kendall Levron.
Yeah, Levron goes out front. The entire top 10 have about 17 to 18 laps on their tires right now. I think we're good on tires. I think we're good on fuel. We'll see how it shapes out here in the next little bit. As right now, Kendall Levron runs the charge, but Derek Robinson, Dustin Ping, Dave, they're going to make it 3 wide off turn 4.
3 wide off of turn 4 and coming to the front of the field. That 38 of Derek Robinson with help from Dustin Ping. He finds himself side by side now for the race lead. 3 wide, cross the line. Hetrick jumps to the outside to join that trio, or make it a trio of cars out there to the outside, I should say. And Cody, this is just going to break up the air even more and allow all of these drivers to catch up even more as we see them starting to position themselves for what lane they want to be in when they reach the front of the field, as Doug Wasaki now joins the party. The 80 of Brian Littleton, he jumps to the outside. That's going to leave fewer cars on that middle lane. The middle lane suffering just a little bit now. Man, oh man, still 3 wide at the front of the field for your race lead.
Dave, they are 3 wide, 7 rows deep, and here comes Falcon Motorsports. They were out front early in the race. They are coming to that middle line now. They're about to be on the back bumper of Cody Terry. We have 6 laps to go at Talladega. 16 drivers, Dave, within a blanket of each other, racing for the win here this evening.
as we've got 3 wide racing coming to the end of the race. We haven't had a chance to do it all race long. We're going to give you a little bit of the sights and sounds here from Talladega Superspeedway as best as we can, coming right at you right there on screen. A little bit of turn it up camera work going. We're going to continue to talk you through the end of tonight's race. There you see them, these drivers 7 rows deep, 3 wide racing here at Talladega Superspeedway. My goodness, this is what plate racing is all about. These drivers doing a fantastic job out there, Cody. My God.
Fantastic job. But the driver that's out point right now is Lance Yancey. He is second in points, yet to have a win this year in the season. He's trying to score one here at Talladega, Dave, but he is going to have to hold off a hard-charging group. And right now, anybody in these front 3 rows could take the win as Kendall Levron goes to the middle.
Levron to the middle. He's got 3 lanes to block. Make that no lanes to block as the inside being led by Brian Kaufman. Charges back to the front. The 38 of Derek Robinson trying to get that 3rd lane wound back up and back to the front. Dustin Ping still right there behind him. The 2 lanes on the inside starting to prevail just a little bit. Back through the tri-oval this time by. Looks like Levron has the advantage. Crossing the line, 4 laps to go.
4 laps to go for these RFC Light Electric Company Arca Menard Chevrolets as they roar through Talladega. Now, somewhat of a 3-wide battle at the front. Looks like, Dave, they're starting to bring things down to just 2 wide. A very interesting move as we now have 3 laps to go when they come to the line this time by.
3 laps to go when we come to the line this time by. Looks like some of that 3-wide action starting to fizzle out as now just your front 2 rows still 3 wide at the front of the field. Thomas Quattlebaum Jr., there you see him in the 93. He's still trying to make his way back to the front of the field. The 22 of Cody Terry, he joins Dustin Ping and Derek Robinson on that outside lane. Your top 3 rows, all 3 wide, crossing the line. 3 laps remaining here at Talladega Superspeedway in the Mission 2275. I don't know who's gonna win this, but I really don't care. This has been a great race put on here tonight by all of these drivers here in the RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company Arca Menards K&N Series.
Yeah, Dave, the top 20 are all right here together. Oh, Jimmy Hendricks up against the outside retaining wall. I don't know what happened to that 48 Lowe's car, but man, he darted up against the outside wall, and that's going to maybe ruin his chances of picking up a win. Not sure what happened, but Lance Yancey, he's making moves. He's going to the outside of Kendall Levron. Levron goes up the block. Here comes Cody Terry, and it's going to be Lance Yancey with 2 laps to go.
Popsicle sticks for the 77 of Lance Yancey, putting his Shark Pennzoil Light Electric Company Arca Menards Chevy K&N Impala at the front of the field. 77 just kind of waited it out all night long, now making the moves at the front of the field. First time here tonight that 77 has led. Here comes the 8 of Kendall Levron. Now the 7 of Brian Kaufman making a run back at the front of the field. Oh, into the outside wall. The 71 of Jason Edmondson. Oh, he catches another car. Caution comes out. Oh, my goodness.
Dave, caution comes out, and like we have seen multiple times this year, hello overtime.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that was. Whew. Let me back this up. See what happened here. Oh, that was Dustin Ping in the 84 of Chris Medford actually involved in that incident there, Cody, and it looks like a very hard impact for both of those drivers. So, unfortunately, I don't believe either of them going to be able to continue on. And, man, oh, man, looks like we continue a trend here with our first attempt at a green-white checkered here from Talladega Superspeedway.
Yeah, Dave, and if anybody did not want to see that yellow come out, I do not think it was Lance Yancey. Lance Yancey had the momentum. I thought he had a run to maybe go to the front, and when that yellow came out, he had just lost that momentum. So tough break for that 77, But Brian Kaufman, Kendall Leveron, Thomas Quattlebaum, who has rallied from that early incident, are going to be your top three, it looks like, when we get ready to go back green.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll see any of these drivers hitting pit road. You kind of got what you got at this point in time, and looks like some of them may make me out to be a liar. I can't imagine. Wow. Maybe these drivers know something I don't. Maybe they need some fuel. I don't know. Thomas Quattlebaum Jr., he stays out. Tyler Hilton stays out. Brandon Medford, Doug Wasaki, Katie Osmond looks like he's staying out as well. Michael Massengill. So, yeah, looks like just a stop and go for a lot of the drivers that head down pit road. But, ooh, that's a tough break, and that's going to shake up the end of the complexion of the end of tonight's race.
Dave, I know we talked team racing, and I beat that to death, but did you see what just happened right then? Thomas Quattlebaum, Tyler Hilton, Brandon Medford, Doug Wasaki, they are all a part of Falcon Motorsports. They are going to make up the top two rows when we go back green. You want to talk about a roadblock? There has to be some kind of scheme for that as they go to the apron, Dave, to try to save some fuel here under yellow.
Yeah, and I think that's what it all boils down to. I think maybe some of these drivers may have been tight on fuel. Some of them may have not wanted to risk it, and maybe thinking it's not worth risking it for the biscuit at this point in time. Let's just come down, get some fuel, and finish this thing on out. Even if we walk away with a top 10 instead of running out of fuel, running in first, it's still a better points day at the end of the day. So, Cody, we're not smart enough to get paid crew chief money, so it's all speculation.
Yeah, because if I had to do math and it mattered, we would really be in trouble.
Yeah, I don't math too good.
I got 10 fingers. That's all I know.
And Miss Linda, I don't know if they had plenty of fuel. I thought they did. I figured they would. I mean,
I thought they did, Dave.
I would figure they would.
Do a full run.
That's the only reason that I can come up with why these drivers would have pitted right there is just to play it safe for green, white, checkered, because we were under the 5 to go. So this is gonna put us in our official attempt at a green, white, checkered. So maybe because of the extension of the race, maybe they didn't quite have enough fuel. Not quite sure. Usually fuel mileage not something you keep track of here at a plate track, just because you usually don't have fuel mileage winning at a plate race.
Yeah, and Dave, I can understand if we had unlimited overtime, but it's just one attempt. And it's going to take one full lap to get up to speed. So when the white flag comes out, you're going to be at top speed, and then you pretty much got from the start-finish line back to the start-finish line. So I scratch my head. Maybe one or two of these drivers will maybe get to the front, and in our post-race we can talk to them to kind of get an idea. But, Dave, I'm kind of like with you. I felt like they had enough fuel. I don't see anybody taking tires. So we'll see.
Sorry, I'm laughing, checking in over there on the YouTube side of things. And yes, Miss Linda, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's the Hawks chasing the Falcons. I just wonder if there's any chicken hawks out there chasing any roosters. But maybe that's a different episode, different show.
I thought I was on Green Acres there for a minute.
Love each and every one of the fans and friends, family that stop by and join us here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Miss Linda, do appreciate you coming in each and every time you do. It's fun to interact with you and the rest of the people out there. Troy, man, what happened, man? You left the infield care center without letting us get an interview. So that's gonna be 2 hot dogs and 4 Slurpees docked from your race pay. But we'll get into that next time we hit the track with you. We'll slap your hand then.
Somehow I've just got that feeling Troy's not too worried about all of that, Dave. I've just got that sneaky suspicion.
Somehow something tells me you were over there like, what? are you
I was
even?
trying to find
What?
out where the hot dogs were.
Right? See, now you understand why I said the hot dogs, right? I mean, stomach gets empty up here in the booth sometimes. Chevy Silverado pace truck down and away. We're set to go back. Green flag racing for our one and only attempt at an official green-white checkered finish here tonight in the Mission 2275 here live on Turn 3 Racing Network from Talladega Superspeedway. On the gas is the 93 of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. and green flag flies once again here at Talladega Superspeedway. Your top four all break away from the field. Quattlebaum Jr., Hilton, Medford, and Wasaki all break away from everybody else. Dale Osmond, KD right there in the fifth spot. Does he have enough time to get the car wound up and up there and battle these top four drivers? I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time there, Cody.
Dave, I don't know why the top four being teammates are side by side. If they would have got nose to tail, they could have pulled away. But what they've done, they've been battling. So here comes KD Osmond. Here comes Brandon Medford. They are starting to pull the group. That's Michael Masongill in the Ford machine. Here comes company, and a lot of it for those front four Falcon Motorsports cars.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of spots on the line coming to the white flag this time by through the tri-oval. The 82 of Tyler Hilton to the outside of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. Oh, no. Oh, cars up and around flipping. Damon Cox into the wall flipping. White flag in the air. We continue racing here at Talladega Superspeedway. Looks like it's a race back to the line. And oh my goodness, looks like it's got drivers going a little bit crazy on me here.
Dave, they go into turn three. KD Osmond is a man by himself. He's on the outside, 3 wide for the lead, but for the moment, it's Thomas Quattlebaum showing the lead. He's trying to hold off Tyler Hilton. Hilton looking for his first career win. They're off of turn 4.
Off of turn number 4, Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. leading the field. Hilton going to his outside, leaving just enough room for Medford on the inside. Can Hilton get the job done? No. Thomas Quattlebaum Jr., I believe, is going to take that one. I tell you what, we can take a look back, see how all that unfolded here with the photo finish. I tell you what, let's take a look back.
Might have got that.
We'll watch as the drivers make their way around the track here, coming through 3 and 4. Very long way around, but we'll get it here. When they come around, we've got this great photo finish camera here at Talladega Superspeedway here tonight. So let's take a look, see how it all happened. We'll slow it down here, see how it all unfolds. Oh my goodness, at the line, and whoo, that is, man, I don't even know, man. That is, wow, close. That is wow. Looks like they are giving the race win to Tyler Hilton. Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. going to come in second. Brandon Medford in third. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step away for a brief moment, get things set and ready to go for your post-race interviews. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Talladega Super Speedway, and wow, what a racing event we have seen here. The halfway point of the 2020 RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company ARCA Menard Series did not disappoint here tonight from Talladega. And Falcon Motorsports 1, 2, 3. What an event! And we go to our third place finisher, Brandon Medford. Brandon, man, I seen you peek a nose there at the bottom. You were waiting for those front two to maybe make a mistake, and you was going to squeeze through. But man, oh man, what a way to finish this race at Talladega, in a race where it kind of looked like you all had the strategy to run at the front the whole time. But then towards the middle, we seen you all kind of go to the back of the field. It's kind of a planned strategy, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we've seen guys starting to get a little hairy up front, and we didn't want to be a part of any wrecks, so we strategically, like you said, moved to the back to stay together and try to save fuel. And man, our strategy worked out perfect. And here's Falcon sitting top three, 1, 2, 3.
Well, man, we talked about it, me and Dave did in the pre-race show, about how hard it was to use these cars in the draft, because really you could not make any contact as far as the front bumper and the rear bumper, just simply because they did not match up. How hard was it to maybe kind of draft your way to the front tonight?
These cars suck up really good, so like you guys said, you don't want to touch anybody. So a bumper at even just a little bit is going to spin a guy out, and you're going to junk the field. But I think everybody did an amazing job tonight, not doing that and making for a really good race.
Well, man, I know you all rolled out some new paint schemes this week. Tell us some people on the side of that 83 machine.
Yeah, I ride with the ALS Foundation. My fiance's had a little bit of that run through her family, so we're running that on there. We got our Team Falcon, which we just switched over to Fords today, so a great running for a new group and our new paint schemes. And I also ride with my dad on here. He's been missing for a few years, but this we get a race in his memory, and with this team, it's pretty awesome.
Well, Brandon, we congratulate you on a top 3 finish. A good way to get some momentum into the second half of the season going forward.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate it, and I want to thank you guys also for this broadcast. I bet that was a doozy. And then also my teammates here. We were running top 4 there. Sucked Troy didn't get in there, but Team Falcon, man, we're looking pretty good.
Congratulations, Brandon. Third place finisher tonight here at Talladega. Dave looks like he has corralled race driver number 2 of the Falcon Motorsports Group, that being the guy that sat on the pole tonight. Very first pole tonight for Thomas Quattlebaum, and Dave has him now.
Yeah, finally had a moment to catch up with the driver finishing in the second position out here today from Talladega Superspeedway, driver of the 93 machine, Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. How you doing, man? Heck of a race. And also want to congratulate you on your first career pole here today.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, I'm a little dejected because as long as I've been a part of Falcon, I've not won a league race, and that's officially the closest I've come. And I guess I wouldn't want to lose it to anybody else than the team owner, Tyler, there.
Well, man, I mean, you got to look at it this way. You rolled the dice. You came away with a second here today. Next time we hit the track, it's another plate race. Good momentum carrying you over to that. You've got what it takes to run at the front of these plate races. So maybe that win's right around the corner.
I hope so, man. I'm pretty comfortable on the plate tracks. I think I get a lot of respect and give a lot of respect to people. I know we got spun earlier. I don't think that was intentional, but yeah, I guess I can't really complain after that wreck earlier and then come up and finish second. So Daytona's going to be good. We got a good team with Tyler, Troy, Brandon, Doug. So I mean, we can definitely pull it off. I think Tyler's made a fuel strategy call for us. We stayed out an extra lap than everybody else, and that's what let us. I ran out crossing the start finish line. So I think Tyler ran out doing his burnout. So.
All right, Thomas. Well, my man, once again, congratulations, man. Great run out there for you. A great night for not just yourself, but also the team. Great finish for you. Great job out there on securing your first pole in the RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company, Arkham Menards, K&N Series. So congratulations on just a great night all in all. And before we let you go, would you like to give any shout-outs, thank yous, love yous, thank anybody on the side of that car?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess first off, need to thank Mike Massengill for he sponsored this race for Mission 22, and then of course I got to thank or bring attention to Southern Conservation Trust. They conserve land all over the United States, especially the Southeast. And then Line Creek Brewing Company, they have their conserved Georgia beer that gives money to the Southern Conservation Trust. And then of course Tyler Hilton's Coast and Peak Apparel Company. So that's who I want to thank, and of course all my Falcon teammates, except for the one that didn't let me win tonight.
All right, well, there you have it. Some few final parting words from the driver, finishing in the second position here today from Talladega Superspeedway in the Mission 2275, and I believe that has given Cody Terry enough time to catch up with our race winner.
Yeah, Dave, most definitely. And man, oh man, it is a celebration in Gatorade Victory Lane as he made his 18th career start in the series tonight. I've talked about him finishing second multiple times on these broadcasts, and for the first time in his career, Falcon Motorsports and the number 82 of Tyler Hilton is in Victory Lane. Congratulations, man.
Woo, thank you. Yeah, long time coming, man.
Well, tonight wasn't easy, and, you know, I was sitting here, we were watching the broadcast, we were going through the race, and I seen a lot of the front guys go to pit road, and me and Dave just kind of looked at each other like, what are they doing? But then when I started putting everything together, I'm like, okay, well, Falcon Motorsports just took the top 4 spots, so somebody made a decision, and from what we just heard from Thomas Quattlebaum, you made the call to keep this team on the racetrack, gambling a little bit, but man, oh man, that gamble paid off.
Oh yeah, we definitely were playing the fuel card tonight just in case it did get down to a scenario like it did, and it worked beautifully, especially with that green-white checkered there. Everybody was close on fuel. They had to come in and pit, and we had that extra lap or two from coming back down to pit road and topping off from the previous stop. And yeah, able to control those front 2 rows. It's going to be hard to beat us coming to the line on a green-white checkered after that.
Well, Tyler, we noticed at the front of the race you guys got together and kind of made a run, and then we talked with Brandon a few moments ago. You guys kind of faded to the back a little bit. Things was getting a little racy up front, and from what Brandon said, all in design, so to speak, for this team, but then just to come back up through the field. You take a week off as we celebrate Labor Day, and then you all come back to another plate track. We go to Daytona, very similar style of racing. To see this team go 1, 2, 3, you've got to love the momentum that this team has now going to another plate track here in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be a good off week. I know we're going to look over some strategy calls and stuff we made in this race and definitely try to apply that probably for Daytona. But yeah, it definitely gives us momentum, and hopefully we can have the same result.
Well, Tyler, man, congratulations. I know you got a lot of special folks you want to thank on that Ford Mustang.
Yeah, I appreciate it. First and foremost, Victory Junction. They're my primary sponsor on this car. They've been with me pretty much through this whole RFC season and last year, and I want to thank them for coming on board and everything that they do. Southern Conservation Trust, Coast and Peak. You can check them out. They've got a great line of apparel, coastandpeaknc.com. Ford Performance, definitely this was our first race with them, so hey, it's working out so far with that. The teammates, Tom, Brandon, Doug, and Troy, and you know, going back to Tom real quick, I just so close, man. I think we basically tied there at the finish. It's kind of a heartbreaker, just still one from him. He's been in this league for a long time, and you don't like to steal one from your teammate, but I mean, man, we were so close there. Great performance by him. Mike Massengill for coming on board and picking up the sponsorship for this race with Mission 22 and Blackhawk Motorsports. And then obviously yourself and Daryl up there in the Turn 3 booth and everything you guys do, making these exciting calls. And yeah, so all that, RFC admins, we appreciate it.
Tyler Hilton, man, congratulations, making his 18th career start tonight. He's in victory lane for the very first time. And Dave, he becomes the 9th different winner in the 2020 season out of our first 10 races, the halfway point.
Yeah, 9 different winners in 10 races. And that's going to set us up for a little bit of an off week for the drivers and for us here at the RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company Arca Menards K&N Series. And what a way to bring us to the halfway point, the halfway break, if you will, Cody. A great race here at Talladega Superspeedway. We had a great race unfolding before that final caution, and we got things set for a green-white checkered, and then we seen some great team strategy being employed at the end. And we heard it there in the post-race interviews. These drivers that stayed out, they barely had enough fuel to make it. So a tough break for the drivers that elected to go to pit road, but sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. And sometimes it's not a wreck that takes you out of the picture at a super speedway.
Yeah, that is most definitely the truth, man. And I felt like we were going to see something special tonight, and we did. You know, they could have gotten a single file line. They could have just simply rode laps. But, Dave, there wasn't a moment tonight we did not see racing at the front of the field. We saw some pretty amazing things. We saw 2 drivers pretty much pull out and say, hey, I want to lead this race. And what did they do? They went straight to the front. So for Tyler Hilton and that whole Falcon Motorsports crew to go 1, 2, 3, and the way things shook out tonight, pretty special night here at Talladega. And hey, 2 weeks, we're going to line up and go plate racing again.
That's going to be a crazy way to come back from the off week, but that's the way it is. That's the way the schedule is. We're going to take it from 2 huge restrictor plate tracks to the track I've been waiting for all season long, Cody. And as the music begins to play in the background, that lets me know it's time to speed things up and get going. But coming up here in just about 2 weeks, we'll throw it up on screen for you here for just a brief moment. There you see a Daytona in 2 weeks. Then North Wilkesboro. Man, I cannot wait to get these cars on that old school track. It's going to be one heck of a night for sure. So, Cody, what do you say we run through tonight's official race results? They look a little something like this. Walking away with the win here tonight in the Mission 2275 here from Talladega Superspeedway, the 82 of Tyler Hilton. The 93 of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. slotting home in second, rounding out your podium here tonight, the 83 of Brandon Medford. Brian Littleton gonna walk away in fourth. Fifth will go to Derek Robinson. Thomas Light gonna finish in sixth. Seventh will go to the 71 of Jason Edmiston. Brian Mescal Jr. gonna slot home in eighth. Ninth will go to the 45 of Brian Stair, and Katie Osmond, your points leader, gonna round out your top 10.
Finishing in 11th spot, a good rally for Chris Mefford in that 84 machine. He finishes 11th. Good run tonight for Jimmy Hetrick in that 48 Lowe's machine. He came home 12th. Ray Radford rallied from the back of the pack early in the race in his 47 to finish 13th. Kendall Lebron, we saw him up front a lot during the race tonight. He finished 14th. Cody Terry, he finished 15th in his 22. The 34 of Doug Wasaki came in 16th. Damon Cox, who we saw in an accident at the end of the race, ended up finishing in the 17th spot with his 57. Lance Yancey, who led some laps tonight in the 77 machine, finished 18th. Justin Walters in the 46 finished 19th. Brian Kaufman, first car one lap down, and 20th in his number 7.
Michael Massengill gonna finish in the 21st spot. The 76 of Chuck Mobley, after running up front for a long time here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway, gonna finish tonight's race in 22nd. Dustin Ping gonna slot home in 23rd. 24th will go to Gordon Larson Jr. The 19 of Rick Runnert will walk away in 25th. 26th will be Mark Vyers. Travis Arthur, after early trouble, slots home in 27th. Melvin Young in the 10 machine gonna come home in 28th. And in 29th, the 6 of Eric Blount, after early trouble and some mechanical issues. Last week's race winner, the 49 of Troy Radford, will go home in the 30th in a final spot. Not the way he was looking to in the first half of the season. But fortunately enough for him, he's got some points in the bag with a race win last week. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to take a week off here, Cody. So, do want to thank you for joining us, or joining me, I should say, putting up with my nonsense and chaos all the time. So, I do want to send you a big shout out. Thank you for joining us each and every week, and look forward to working with you the second half of the season. And, man, we're going to kick it off once again at Daytona.
Man, I'm excited. I'm ready to go. A 2-week break, kind of, to get our breath and get everything sorted back out. And excited for another call at another plate track here in a couple of weeks. And then I know that race after that, you've already got highlighted. Probably already got your bags packed for next week.
My hotel is booked, paid for in advance, and I am already there. I've got clothes waiting. I ain't got to do nothing but show up. I can't wait to get there. Gonna be great. And with all that being said, nothing left to do here from Talladega Superspeedway. So we do appreciate you joining us here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. And as always, race fans, stay safe, stay loved. We'll see you next time here on the Turn 3 Racing Network.